the same page before we do get started. What I am going to do now is I'll go ahead and I'll share my screen. And I put together just a short little presentation today to kind of set the stage for what we'll be looking at. But the majority of the session will be the Q&A, and it will actually be a live demo that I'll walk us through together. Perfect. So you all should be able to see my screen now. And if you can't, definitely let me know, but you should be able to hopefully see my screen and hear me okay. Again, if you think there's any technical problems, just drop that into the chat and I'll be definitely keeping an eye on that. But today's webinar is very much designed for all of you executive assistants out there who are constantly managing multiple inboxes and multiple calendars. So the topic for today's session is manage multiple inboxes with ease with Priority Matrix for executive assistants. So that kind of sums up pretty much exactly what we will be looking at today. Again, great to have all of you here today, especially those of you who are an executive assistant, or maybe you will be working with one and you're going to be passing on some of these tips and tricks to them. All right, so in my role here at Affluence, I have the opportunity to speak with a lot of our first-time users and current customers. And what that means is I speak with people in a lot of different organizations and a lot of different roles. But one of the recurring roles that we see people getting a lot of value from Priority Matrix is that specific executive assistant role. And while we're absolutely able to help most of these EAs that come to us with challenges, I have actually been able to kind of piece together some of the most common challenges that we see from those executive assistants. So what do those challenges typically look like? A lot of feedback that I hear from EAs are, we have no central space to see all top priority emails. So the reason that's so challenging is because executive assistants are often juggling multiple inboxes, and from those inboxes, they likely have to delegate those emails out or place a priority level on them. And without being able to see all of the top priority emails and inboxes together, it can definitely be really challenging to kind of juggle those properly. From there, once these executive assistants are able to prioritize and manage the emails on their side, it can be increasingly difficult to share these updates and pass on these emails to the executives who need to take the next steps and next actions with them. What that typically looks like is, attempting to forward these emails, leaving them unread. So when the executive gets into their inbox, they know exactly where they need to go. But at the end of the day, there's no real way to actually communicate or prioritize those emails that are just left in the inbox. And then on top of that, an executive assistant is not only responsible for managing inboxes, but there's a lot of other priorities that they need to take care of that oftentimes are funneled in through you guessed it, more emails. So what we really need to do is provide a central space where executive assistants can manage their inbox, manage the calendar and inbox of the people they're working with, and also be able to juggle all of the other priorities and moving parts that are going to, kind of funnel alongside everything else they're working on. So if we have any executive assistants on the call today, I did look through all of your roles, but I don't remember exactly how that matches up with the names here. But for all of those executive assistants, or maybe for those of you who work in a similar role to what we're talking about, I would love to hear your thoughts and your feedback as to if this is, really the job that, or rather really the challenges that you feel like you're facing, or, maybe I left something out. So feel free to drop that into the chat box. I always love to hear those thoughts and those comments. All right, so now that we kind of touched on some of the most common challenges that I see on a day-to-day basis from EAs, I want to tackle the priority matrix approach. So the question that's up in the air is, why does Priority Matrix support executive assistants with these common challenges that all of them seem to be facing from time to time? So what Priority Matrix allows you to do is it will allow you to see all of your prioritized emails across all of your inboxes in just one place. And what this means is you can automatically integrate emails, or you can actually set up some Outlook rules to do that integration for you. So at the end of the day, we're going to take a look at both of these options, but no matter how you like to prioritize your emails, the most important thing is that you do that. So then when you go to your priority matrix, you can see all the emails in just one place together. Priority matrix also makes it super easy to delegate your emails to those executives, place a priority level on them, and set your deadlines as needed. So overall, just delegation and email management becomes incredibly simple when you use priority matrix. And lastly, priority matrix helps executive assistants align schedules and easily share status updates and changes whenever there's some type of change that comes through, whether it's through email, a phone call you've got, anything. There's always things that are changing, and having an easy way to share these updates is absolutely critical for the success of an executive assistant. All right, so in order to get started, to kind of backtrack, what I will be showing you today is going to be priority matrix integrated into my Teams platform and also into Outlook 365. So that will be the focus for today. And if you haven't already, I absolutely suggest installing priority matrix for both of those platforms, because that's going to be, kind of the primary place where you're able to do most of your working in priority matrix and with your collaborators once you get going. So I'm going to transition into kind of a live demo session for today, but kind of a sidestep that I want to share with you all, which is, of course, today's webinar is very much focused on the role of an executive assistant or something similar to this. And that's, going to definitely be the primary focus for today. But for those of you that may be brand new to Priority Matrix and are looking for more of just kind of a basic demo, basic introduction to see what the system can do overall, tomorrow I'm hosting an Introduction to Priority Matrix webinar at 11:30. And the following day, I'll be hosting an advanced intro session. So we will be able to take a deeper dive onto some of the more, long-winded features and powerful features that I honestly just don't have time to go over during the basic intro. So be sure to join that if you're looking for, kind of more of a standard introduction. If you haven't seen it already, I host those weekly. So, we do have pre-recorded sessions on YouTube as well. So perfect. It looks like we have a couple comments. So let's kind of go through those. Not an EA, but thought I was alone on how I manage multiple email accounts. Yeah, with that comment, there's pretty much everybody that I talk to is managing multiple inboxes. And I think that kind of stands true for whatever role you're in. So, whatever title you have, as long as you manage multiple inboxes, this will definitely be a helpful session for you. Not in this, I'm in the same boat, not in EA, but have multiple emails and calendars and multiple teams and coworkers. Yeah, absolutely. So this is definitely going to be the perfect session for you all if you're kind of in the same shoes as those people as well. And yes, I will definitely share the details about the session tomorrow. I'm going to send you all a follow-up email, and it will be linked to the registration for tomorrow and the upcoming webinars, and also the recorded sessions as well. So perfect. Thank you so much for those comments. Super helpful. I always love kind of hearing your perspective. So let's take a look at the live demo session today. So what I have on my screen here, this is my priority matrix in the middle of the screen, and it's running entirely through the Teams platform. So as I mentioned, if you haven't done this already, be sure to go to apps in the bottom left corner and install priority matrix into Teams. And you can do the same thing for Outlook. You'll go to basically the Get Add-ins option, and then you can add the priority matrix Outlook installation. And we're going to circle back to this, of course, and spend a whole lot of time looking at it. So in the middle of my screen here, I do have my priority matrix pulled up. And as mentioned, this is going to be kind of that primary place where you do a lot of your work with your priorities and with your coworkers as well. So for those of you who are just getting started, you'll want to go to Add Project. And then in terms of email management or in the role of an executive assistant, I always suggest creating 1 or 2 projects that are specifically designed for email management. Now, when I say 1 or 2 projects, I mean that is if you're just working by yourself and you're looking to manage your emails, I think that's a good starting place. But for an executive assistant who's likely managing their emails in the inbox of 1 or 2 other people, you will likely need more projects just to simply help you stay organized. So you can really easily kind of separate out which emails fall under which person or which priority level that you're working under. So that's kind of my 2 cents in terms of creating projects. You'll see that I have a few examples here. So VP inbox, confirmed meetings, and schedule changes. I would say these are the 3 most common topics that I hear executive assistants have challenges managing or passing on this information effectively to those people that they're kind of helping keeping their schedule clear and organized. So hopefully that makes sense. In terms of a kind of project sharing and collaboration, when you create a project, again, just by going to Add Project, it will definitely be completely private until you intentionally go in and you add project members. So this would be that space where you would think, okay, whose inbox am I managing or who needs to be aware of these updates? It can be 1 person and it can also be, 100 people. The system is very flexible and designed to help you collaborate in a way that you need to do so. All right, so hopefully that makes sense so far. I'm going to open up this VP inbox example so we can kind of go from there. So the reason that I titled this project for this example VP inbox is because put yourself in the shoes of an executive assistant who might be working under the vice president. And the vice president says, hey, Erica, can you make sure that every day I'm able to see the emails that I need to be aware of and that I need to respond to today? And I also want to see the lower priority emails that I should pay attention to today, but it's not the end of the world if we don't get around to that. So, you can imagine you have a couple options. You can leave them unread in your inbox, or you can flag them, or maybe you put them into a folder. But as the vice president, when I go to my inbox and I see 100 unread emails, I think we can all relate to the fact that that's not a real way to prioritize emails. It's just a way to kind of bring them to the forefront and hopefully not forget about them. When you use Priority Matrix as an executive assistant, first and foremost, you're able to rename the quadrants. So on the right-hand side, this is where you would kind of take advantage of that, rename the quadrants to, ultimately help you prioritize whatever you're working on as best as possible. From there, what you're going to be able to do is you can actually integrate emails from your inbox, this person's inbox, whoever's inbox you have access to that you need to be managing. You'll be able to funnel it all into the correct project to then pass on and update the other person with this information. So kind of take a snapshot of this project here. Again, this is representing me as an executive assistant who would be updating the VP about their top priority emails. So shifting gears here, we'll go to my Outlook. All right, so if you haven't already, again, make sure you go to Get Add-ins and you can install the Priority Matrix and Outlook integration this way. The next kind of steps that I'm going to go through here are honestly, they're pretty self-explanatory, but at the end of the day, the Priority Matrix and Outlook integration really kind of takes charge over other systems out there. And so, definitely want to make sure we can kind of go into detail on why this is so effective for email management. Perfect. So once I click on an email, on the right-hand side, I have my integration pinned open, so it actually stays here for you. You can do the exact same thing. Just click on Send to Project, and you'll see this up in your toolbar once you get the extension added. And then you can pin it open in the top right corner. So what happens is even if I click to a different email or I go somewhere else to a different screen, the Priority Matrix extension stays there and it's readily available for you. So then on the right-hand side, a couple things I'll point out. The subject of this email is automatically going to become the item name. We can modify this if we want to. So we'll just say webinar example so we can find it together really easily. Perfect. You're able to prioritize this into the project that makes the most sense. So if it's for somebody else, you put it into the project that you're sharing with them. If it's an email that you personally just need to keep track of, then maybe you put it into your project just for your emails. You can choose the quadrant. So we'll put this in quadrant 1, and I can pick my due date. To kind of take it a step further, what I could also do is I could delegate this email to somebody on my team immediately. So when I hit create action item, what would happen is this email would either be created as a task in my priority matrix. So here I have it right now. It would either be assigned to me, like I have it in this example, or if I had delegated it to somebody else, the email would automatically be assigned to them, pushing through a notification through their priority matrix and wherever else they have these notifications coming through. So once we have this email prioritized centrally into this project, let's say I delegate this to the VP and I say, hey, this is top priority. And then you can say, see the notes for more details. When they click on the notes, it's the entire body of this email. So then I can say, let me know if I can reply for you, or if you reply before, let's just say 3 p.m. So what happens is now, as you can see, we're able to communicate. So the VP could comment back to me and say, okay, got this under control. Maybe you plug in just a friendly reminder just to ensure that it's definitely not forgotten about. Reminders are always helpful, I think. So then this will remind everybody on this item, myself, the VP, anybody else who I've added to this specific email turned into a task. So now what happens is, instead of the VP having to open up their Outlook and dig through, try to understand what they need to handle today, you're able to map it out really clearly for them. And when they are ready to respond to this email, they can just click on this link and it will take them right back to that email in their inbox. So again, the same exact thing can happen for yourself when you're managing your own priority emails. Create a project that says, maybe my top priority emails. And then every day when you get an email, prioritize it into the correct quadrant. So then the start of the next day, when you need to see everything you need to work on for the day in terms of emailing, it's very clear cut and you're ready to go. A question that I typically get from our users is the use case of, okay, I have 3 different inboxes that are all coming through Outlook. You'll see I have a similar setup here because I have multiple different demo accounts and actually real inboxes that I funnel through Outlook. And the question is, can I use this extension on all of my inboxes? The answer is absolutely yes, you can do that. All you have to do is just open up each inbox individually and click Get Add-ins and install the integration into each inbox respectively. One question came up from an information governance perspective: is this secure having this integration of email within Priority Matrix? Neil, that's a fantastic question. The answer is absolutely yes. We've gone through a lot of different hoops in order to get Microsoft 365 security certified, which means Microsoft essentially audited our application to ensure, before we built out these integrations any further, that they could trust our security levels and that their clients could trust us as well. We were officially approved, and I have the certification that I can send you if that would help. But that typically is pretty much a big step forward compared to other email management solutions. We also do have a pretty specific security package that I can email over to you if that would help. But overall, I would say, absolutely yes, you won't be facing any pushback or any challenges with using this integration. In fact, we're actually supporting government agencies, couple teams that definitely have really high security, but in fact, our solution was good to go for them. Hopefully that answers your question. All right, perfect. So one other thing that I want to show you on this email integration. So not only are you able to create a brand new task from this email, but additionally, what you can do is you can actually go to Open Priority Matrix, and the system will show you similar items. So if you're kind of catching my drift here, what you'll be able to do is you can click on an item and you can attach the message to a pre-existing priority matrix item. So what's really neat about this is you're no longer creating multiple emails for a similar task. You're able just to continuously link them together. So to kind of, tie up this whole presentation here, I always like to make sure people are aware of the home view here. So I'll give it just a second to load. So what happens in the home view is these are going to be alerts and notifications from your teammates first and foremost. So it'll be, an email that was maybe delegated to you, a priority that was updated, any status update that's coming in from your team. It's going to show you that right here in the alerts. So from the VP's perspective or the executive, when they are ready to see all of the updates from you for the day as the executive assistant, they can just simply go to alerts and they'll see all the new emails that you've assigned to them. Kind of flipping the script there, if we jump to the agenda view, and personally, this is my all-time favorite view. I think it's one of the most effective things that we have. But basically what happens is agenda will show you everything that you have due today and for the next 7 days. So we'll change this to items I own. So now, if you are an executive and you have an assistant who's kind of going through your calendar, going through your emails, keeping everything in alignment, and all you have to do is say, all right, what do I need to get done today? Somebody else has kind of prepped it all for me. Agenda will absolutely show you really everything that you do need to get done for the day. Last, but definitely not least, is going to be the one-on-one view. And the purpose of the one-on-one is to provide a coworker and one of their teammates a place to have effective meetings. So if the executive assistant is having a meeting with their, with the person that they're working closely with, they're able to go to the one-on-one view, choose that person who they're meeting with, and from here, the system will show them all of their shared priorities. So this would mean emails that they've prioritized for this person and assigned to them, or maybe priorities that teammate has created and delegated to them. So in terms of having an effective meeting, one-on-one is super helpful, and it will also show you any emails that you have both been emailed and included on. So if somebody sends out an email to the vice president and also adds their assistant, those emails are all going to show up here in the shared one-on-one priority view. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to jump back to this just so we can kind of have a screen to look at. In fact, I can probably just turn off the screen share at this point. But what I would love to do is hear your thoughts and hear any questions that you might have. Hopefully, you're able to walk away from this presentation and understand how Priority Matrix supports email management and why the system is just different from leaving it unread or, marking it as important. You're able to very clearly prioritize the emails and collaborate on them in a, systematic way to keep everything super organized. Looks like we have somebody typing, but again, I would love to hear any questions or actually any feedback if you're in a similar role and, maybe this resonates with you or you feel like I left something out. Please tell me. I always think that that's super interesting and actually super helpful for us to understand. Give you guys a couple more moments here to type those comments in. Yes, Neil, I will absolutely, I will send you a follow-up email to make sure that you're able to get everything installed and, kind of get it past that IT barrier. And honestly, it really shouldn't be a problem for us to work through that. Looks like we have one more question coming in. I'm going to stop the recording at this moment, but I will, I'm definitely still going to stay here for